Hey, it's Mike Brennan, and we're doing a special MITech TV. Matt's not with us today, but he'll be back next week. And I have with me Gary Erickson from Executive Search Partners. Gary's been on the show many years and has some great insights into what's happening out there in the job space. And so today we're going to be talking about one of the things is how is the Michigan economy affecting information technology positions not only for this year, but into 2026. Take it away, Gary.
Hey, Mike, how are you? Miss
Doing
Matt,
great.
but that's all right. I'm happy to just be flying solo with you today.
All right.
Um, the Mike, you'd asked me to talk about the Michigan economy and then the IT market in general. And I've been telling people when they ask me about how is the job market in general in Michigan right now, I use a six letters. I said it sucks. Um, it's not bad, but if you were to say the peak markets are say 150% of average, I think we're running at about 30% of average right now. Now that's just an anecdotal comment, but seeing the number of jobs that we're working on, we're part of a consortium of other recruiting companies. We get to see open jobs there. IT jobs, manufacturing jobs, finance jobs, HR jobs are all down. We are seeing a fairly strong market in medical jobs like doctors and nurses, but not support people. And then we're seeing a very robust market for lawyers. So that's sort of a mixed bag. Yeah, I'm sorry, Mike. I was just going to say the projection for IT growth in Michigan, though, is fairly optimistic, but the projection for overall job growth in Michigan is somewhat negative for at least the next 10 years. I think that the number of people leaving Michigan, the number of jobs that are leaving Michigan, is just going to be somewhat stagnant. But overall, nationally, IT jobs in the next 10 years are expected to grow fairly robustly. The nature of those jobs is changing. The types of jobs that are going to be available by projections is going to change. But overall, IT jobs should be fairly strong.
Is there another state or states? I mean, let's just take a national scope here. Michigan, maybe not so much for IT jobs. Are there other states that are pretty hot right now?
I think that in general, they're not. There's not anybody that's really good. As you know, I spent half the time in Florida and half the time in Colorado, and I focused my business around Michigan. We're not seeing that kind of robust growth in jobs in either location. Um, I would say though that because of the Michigan economy's dependence on auto manufacturing, that it's got more cycles and maybe some more balanced areas like you could say a lot of California is balanced. You could say that the East Coast is fairly balanced, although there's a focus on finance jobs in that particular area, healthcare jobs and pharmacy jobs in the Northeast. But I'm generalizing as opposed to having specific numbers. I can give you a details about the kind of jobs that are happening in IT nationally,
Yeah, go
but
ahead.
not necessarily others. Well, we're seeing a lot of salaries are going up in general across the board, across the nation. I've got some statistics I'm looking here on my left when I turn my head this way. The top growth roles are in information security right now, and you can expect that. Where's the company most vulnerable? It's people hacking into the company, ransomware. So, IT security people who are good at their jobs is the growth market. I don't think that's going to necessarily continue. We're going to see software developers and business analysts and AI automation experts. We're going to see growth in those areas.
Yeah, well, I think cybersecurity is white hot. I know we cover that intensely. We have a number of guests we bring on the show about it, talk about it. And there are actually more jobs than there are people to fill those jobs in cybersecurity. You can pick your job, there's three or four for every candidate, and the money reflects that. I mean, it kills me that these kids coming out of LTU, Lawrence Tech, making $120,000 right out of the get go, right? And so yeah, it's a hot area, and but there's other hot areas as well, right?
We've seen over the years in IT and probably other areas, but I know IT well. we've seen in a lot of niche salary increases. I remember when SAP was really hot and you couldn't find a lot of SAP people. You had kids 18, 19, and 20 making, double the average programmer's salary at that time, but it didn't continue. You got large demand, so people started getting educated, and pretty soon that demand got filled, and then the rate of increase in demand decreased. Does that make sense?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's they're usually what I'm saying is it's a bubble. I
Yeah.
think we're gonna. I think that the as long as you're in information technology, as long as you keep up to date with all the latest trends, if you keep adding AI tools to your capabilities, if you learn how to use those to improve regardless of what the IT job is, if you can find a way to use the the automation tools that are out there and the AI tools that are out there to enhance whatever you're doing, program analyst, architecture, security, writing, video, etc., it's going to enhance your resume and improve your productivity on the job.
Speaking of AI, what's impact is AI having on various IT professions and positions, short term and long term?
I don't know if you remember, Mike. You and I we talked about AI several different times, and you asked for my perspective on is AI going to take away everybody's jobs? And I said, no, I don't think so. I think it's going to enhance jobs, but there's more work to be done than there is time to do it these days. And so, the more productive you can be as an individual, and the more productive you can make your workforce, the more stuff they can get done. And the analogy that I used was Excel. If you remember when spreadsheets came out,
Oh yeah.
everybody predicted the demise of accountants and finance people, and I don't think we've got any fewer accountants and finance people. They're just able to do more, and they're able to dive deeper into different analyses, and they're able to provide better advice to corporations because they're using those job automation tools. Which then brings me to my second point, which is, we're calling it AI. As we're learning more about how to apply it to the company, it's very much like all the other things we've done in IT. We apply computer based tools to make people's jobs easier, to link processes, to eliminate manual tasks. And a lot of that is what AI is doing for people.
Yeah, as I mentioned before we started here, or started the record button anyway, I was reluctantly dragged into AI because I viewed it as a threat to my writing position. But now that I've gotten involved in it, it does the research so freaking fast that would take me all day to do the research. It could do in a minute or two. And I'm like all writers, I always have projects on the side. I'm working on a screenplay. I'm working on a book, and it's like it's just amazing. I'm not saying
Yeah,
AI is writing my screenplay and book, but it sure is guiding me as to how I should be doing it. And yeah, it's an amazing tool, and it's I think it's going to weave its way into everything that we do going forward. In mine, I worked with so much. It's like I'm having a conversation with a person. I know that's not the case. It's just a bunch of ones and zeros I'm talking to, but it's amazing, and of course, it remembers everything. Once you say something to AI, it logs it away, and then
yeah,
like I say, it's like having a conversation with a real person. It's kind of
yeah.
spooky a little bit. So
It, although your expertise is what's guiding the final output, right? Because AI is the quality of AI output is based upon the input, and a lot of the input that it has, a lot of the data that AI uses has some interesting anomalies. One of the experiments that I did for myself and the others might try is to go out and say, okay, um, give me a summary of Gary Erickson or Mike Brennan's career using the following basic input, right? And then,
uh-huh.
where you grew up and maybe year you graduated and a few other details. It comes back and gives a pretty nice summary of your career, except it started mixing my career up with two other Gary Ericksons out there. And one of the most famous Gary Ericksons is the guy that started Cliff Bar. So
Hmm.
somewhere in there it said I started Cliff Bar, which I
Well,
didn't. I,
yeah,
wish
it's
I had.
still it just goes out and harvests what's on the internet.
Right.
And Yeah, I mean, it makes mistakes. Early on, it was making a lot of mistakes. It would invent things that
Yep.
you would go, what? And you'd try to do a little research on what it said, and it clearly made it up, you know. But we've gotten well
Yep.
past that now, I think. So,
I think so, but it's using the data that it has. Um, it's available to it. So the most successful AI projects these days are ones that are very focused on the particular task at hand. And if you're like a computer programmer or systems analyst, there's a lot of good things you can use it for. Like take and write me a preliminary program in Python to do the following task. And then if you know the Python language, you can then go in there and refine that. So it's done a lot of the basic core stuff for you very quickly. Now, that means you can solve more problems for your company because the backlog of tasks that people like to get done, they ask IT to do. IT has a backlog that goes several years. Imagine if you can knock that down, that backlog. As soon as you start knocking that down, people are going to come up with other ideas. So I'm not sure that AI jobs are going away. I think they're just doing more,
yeah, okay.
or
So,
IT jobs, not AI jobs.
sure. What advice would you give any IT professionals on how to manage their careers so they don't get left behind? Clearly, part of that would be AI, right?
Yeah. Well, I think it's was talking to so the analogy I have is talking to somebody a couple of days ago who has been out of IT for a couple of years, and they wanted to go into an architect position. That's what they've been doing, and I said, "What do you know about AI?" And they said, "Well, nothing. I've been taking it easy for 2 years." They said, "Well, then in a lot of ways, the world's left you behind, and you need to go figure out how AI is going to impact what you've been doing because everybody's talking about it. It's being integrated in the kind of job you have. So if you're a technical person, or if maybe I shouldn't just say technical person, learn how the new tools can help you do your job better and faster. Stay up to date with whatever's going on, IT specifically, but just like you said, you decided to invest in learning about AI to how it can help you do your job. You're right up to date. You're more productive than you were before. Compare yourself to the Mike Brennan of 2 years ago. Who's a better writer? Who can offer better services to their clients?
Yeah, that well, part of that is you just get better as you keep doing it over and over. But yeah, but certainly I can do it a whole lot faster with AI as my assistant. Like I
Yep.
said, the biggest thing that bogs me down is doing the research because depending on the topic, it take hours or days. With AI, it gets it done just like there's no tomorrow, and that's amazing time saver. So
Yep. So I would say, like anybody who's in IT, you've got to stay up with the technology, and the latest and greatest technology is AI. But don't get fooled by just going out and learning sort of AI prompts. There's an awful lot of API integrations that happen within AI, and there's a lot of linkages to other tools out there that AI may help facilitate. But you can keep building on what you've been doing by adding AI components and tools and technologies to what you're doing, but think about the integration of those tools rather than the replacement of all of them with AI.
okay, so if folks want to get in touch with you, they want to get to your website, they want to see what jobs you have listed. How do they do that?
Well, we don't list all of our jobs on LinkedIn like we used to, but the primary ones we're working on are out there on LinkedIn. We just recently joined a consortium of other recruiters, and we have access to a whole bunch of positions around the nation. So we're now able to offer more opportunities to people, but we don't post them on our website yet.
Ah,
So if you want to get hold of us, though, we're at www.execsearchpartners.com. You can find our phone numbers and email addresses of all the executive search partners out there.